Welcome to HDTV. You're now rocking with your boy. China slams slow Miami condo collapse response, calling it lack of accountability. A Chinese state run newspaper on Sunday cast doubt on the U.S. ability to hold its officials to account and condemned the country's slow rescue response after the collapse of a condominium near Miami, Florida. The death toll in the condo building collapse rose to 9 people on Sunday, with a further 10 injured and more than 150 others still unaccounted for. The Chaplin Tower South collapsed in the town of Surfside on Thursday, and 3 days later, responders are still digging debris in search of the residents that have remained missing. Hu Zihin, the editor for the Chinese Community Party's Global Times, called the U.S. emergency rescue capabilities worse than people think and predicted that no officials will be held accountable after the dust settles. The slow rescue work has also made those concerned about the matter anxious, he wrote. Rescuers have apparently made heroic efforts, but the large pile of rubble is generally staying intact as of now. The reported casualties are 5 dead and more than 150 missing. This is an old the story. This when this came out, I think it's up to 9 dead now. The U.S. rescue capability with emergency situations is much worse than people think, Hugh continued. There is no outstanding technique or method that can be used urgently to help break the deadlock. Many rescuers are unable to help. This is regrettable. The delay in rescue actually means that hope of survival is running out for those buried in the rubble. As rescuers and officials focus on their search, the definitive cause of the collapse is still to be determined. On Sunday, Surfside released a 2018 engineering report of the building conducted by Morabito Consultants that unearthed major structural damage to the concrete structural slab that supported the ground floor pool deck. It is unclear whether any of the damage reported by the firm caused or contributed to the deadly collapse. Hugh acknowledged that it is reasonable not to pursue accountability now, but added that, judged from previous situations, accountability is also unlikely to be investigated in the future. So far, there is no sign that any side is to be held accountable for this accident, he wrote. It is more possible that the incident will be left unsettled in the end. The editor also noted that the U.S. officials weren't held to account for the country's high COVID-19 death toll. The U.S. seldom hold officials to account. He wrote over 600,000 Americans died from COVID-19 epidemic, but so far no officials have been held accountable. By contrast, many officials across China have been dismissed due to negligence in the epidemic fight. Newsweek reached out to the White House for comment. The story will be updated with any response. Okay. So, right. Um to me, China is talking about this, they're slamming the US for not acting accordingly. Let's see. So you want to talk about COVID-19. Let's talk about this, China. From COVID to blackface on TV, China's racism problem runs deep. China's anti black racism shows in its media and its treatment of Africans during the pandemic. High profile blackface scandals typically produce public embarrassment, apologies, and promises of self reflection, but not when the Chinese government is responsible. That's what we saw last week on the eve of Lunar New Year when the Chinese state broadcaster CCTV televises annual live variety show, which draws hundreds of millions of viewers featuring dancers in blackface. This performative use of blackface belies a rampant racism problem in the country, which comes on the heels of growing discrimination against black people and Africans by the Chinese government, which appears to be compounded by the pandemic. Last April, authorities in the southern city of Guangzhou, which has China's largest African community, launched a campaign to forcibly test Africans in the city for the coronavirus and ordered them to self isolate or quarantine in designated hotels. Landlords evicted African residents, forcing many to sleep on the street, in hotels, or in shops. Some restaurants refused to serve black customers. And Black Liberty China at Black Liberty CN on Twitter, again, for those who still doubt that black people and particularly hashtag Africans in China are being targeted, we feel it is our duty to share this. A sign at McDonald's restaurant seems to make this perfectly clear. We've been informed that from now on, black people are not allowed to enter the restaurant for the sake of your health. Consciously notify the local police for medical isolation. Please understand the inconvenience caused. Police TL colon 110. So that's basically in their laws. And you can find this on Twitter at Black Liberty CN. Scenes of Africans sleeping on the street with their belongings were shared widely on social media, which sparked outrage among African communities around the world and prompted rare public rebuke from some African governments. But the Chinese government denied that the authorities' conduct was discriminatory and blamed Western media for provoking the problems between China and African countries. For those who think the official line from Beijing is bad, check out the Chinese internet where the rampant racism against black people is often too appalling to repeat. The use of racial slurs is ubiquitous on social media. Discussions about black people, people of African descent living in China, are often depicted as overstaying visas, not paying taxes, and encroaching on Chinese culture. African migrants, as well as African Chinese intermarriages, are commonly described as spelling doom for the Chinese race. In a China where the birth rate is gradually decreasing due to family planning policies, meaning the one child policy in the past and the two-child policy of the present, not too many years later, China will become a country with a black informed Muslim majority. Limited one person on the Chinese social media platform, Weibo. In other instances, some Chinese women in relationships with black men were doxxed and vilified. During the Lunar New Year live show last week, as the African song and dance number began, dancers launched into a performance allegedly meant to celebrate traditional African culture, but viewers quickly realized that the dancers were Chinese, their skin darkened by makeup. Criticism came quickly. On Twitter, Black Liberty China, an activist group run by Africans in China, called the show extremely disappointing. We cannot stress enough the impact scenes such as these have on African and Afro diasporic communities living in China. The group stated, blackface once again at the Spring Festival Gala on CCTV, not the first time, and extremely disappointing to see. We cannot stress enough the impact scenes such as these have on African and Afro diasporic communities living in China. In response to the backlash, China's Foreign Affairs Ministry stated that the performance was a sign of respect and that those who make a fuss about the program obviously have ulterior motives. This isn't the first time the Lunar New Year show has featured racist caricatures. In CCTV's 2018 Lunar New Year Gala, a skit intended to showcase the Chinese government's friendship with African countries and China's investment in Africa featured a Chinese actress in blackface with an exaggerated fake posterior and a basket of fruit on her head, reciting lines like China has done so much for Africa and I love Chinese people, I love China. Accompanying her was an actor from Ivory Coast dressed in a monkey costume. Just like 2021, the 2018 skit drew outrage from audiences around the world. Cringeworthy at best, completely racist at worst. It's Africa, so bring out tribal dancers and animals. One person commented on Twitter. This is Parthipan, and it's at KT Parthipan on Twitter. The sketch on Africa during the at CCTV Spring Festival Gala, possibly the most watched show in the world, was cringeworthy at best, completely racist at worst. It's Africa, so bring out tribal dancers and animals? Question mark. And was that a Chinese woman in blackface with a fake posterior? Question mark. Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping has been touting the establishment of a community of shared future for mankind on the international stage. One has to wonder whether these displays are merely a manifestation of the kind of community or international system that Xi wants to build. The Chinese government and social media companies occasionally censor online hate speech, and some users have been warned by the authorities to stop their racist rhetoric, but Beijing largely has itself to blame for the persistence of online racial hate. It is the result of decades of severe repression of any discussion or activism that promotes the ideas of racial and ethnic equality and human rights combined with ever increasing nationalistic. Sorry about that, you guys. Ideas of racial and ethnic equality and human rights combined with ever increasing nationalistic and chauvinist propaganda from the government. So I know you're probably wondering why did I say that. Basically to say this. China, you're upset about, I'm sorry that the condo collapsed because that's your landmark in Miami. But why aren't you guys keeping that same energy on when you talk about Africans and black people in your country? But Biden basically sees like, oh, we have to stop the Asian hate. Who's hating Asians? Now, have there been cases where Asians have discriminated against other Asians? Yes, but not as worse as they have done Africans and black people. And this is the thing. You guys are getting upset at the officials for not coming fast enough. Dude, black people, we get people killed in poorish areas or even in areas that aren't poorish. And you see what happens? They don't even come. They don't even come. They just be like, whatever. They just let the person die. Like some ambulances in the black community don't even come there because of the violence and what's going on in the community at the time. You also have places where they won't even deliver food or anything in those places because of what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. You basically want to cry wolf when it's happening to you, but you guys aren't so I so it's easy excuse me, it's easier for you to criticize what they're doing. America has been doing that for all the time. If it's not white people, they're not finna give a damn about it. That's America. But I bet if it was in China, would y'all do the same thing? Would y'all go help black people who were hurt or got killed or something bad happened? Would you guys be there? I don't believe you would. I think you guys are just as bad as the America. You guys are just as bad. I'm so sick and tired of all these other races getting their due, but us, it's like we're the biggest complainers, we're the biggest crybabies. But when it happens to them, it gets glorified. Oh, the Chinese are holding America accountable because of the condo collapse. And I don't wish death on anybody. I hope those people, the ones that are missing, I hope they can find them in good condition. And I hope that they're able to help them. But let's be honest. If this wasn't, if this was black people, it nobody do. Black people wouldn't even had the ounce of even media coverage on this. They wouldn't have. So that's the thing. People, that's the thing, man. People just want to look at everything like this, and they're not really paying attention to the real facts of things and what's going on. People are stuck in a box. They're stuck in a box. They're stuck in a box, and they're going to continue being stuck in the box. And see, that's the thing. They raising fuss about it, but America, they don't come to the defense like that to people unless they're white. They don't. They don't. And I understand that you guys want them to get there faster and to do their job, but it's like, dude, they're only going to do it when they need to do it or when they want to do it, excuse me. If they're still getting a lot of pressure, then hey, they might speed it up. But like I said, they answered it. They're out there doing what they can to help. But the Chinese government, I don't need you guys talking trash when your government isn't doing anything about the blacks or the Africans, how you guys treated them. But you don't want that to get out there. You're talking about propaganda, and you guys are doing y'all doing Glaudville or what is it? I forgot the name of it. Yeah, vaudeville theater, where you're basically talking bad about blacks. You guys are basically doing the blackface and doing the posteriors, trying to make fun of blacks. And this is why we get upset. And I tell other blacks here in America, this isn't the only place that goes through that. It's not. Blacks get talked about and destroyed and treated like shit everywhere. It's not just America. And that's what I'm trying to explain. So I hope those people from the collapsed condo are okay, but I'm sorry. China, the officials getting mad. You guys don't have no reason to talk after how you've been treating blacks and those in your country and those who aren't fully Chinese. So you guys have no right to speak. And plus, get used to it. This is American. If you're not white, then hey, you ain't right. But you want them to move faster than what they are. Welcome to a black man and black woman's world in America. Thank you for listening. I'm out. Deezy.